on sight. It's by his power, not by my own might. This world is dark, so we keeping it light. If you say you can't, you probably right. I think revival is about to break through. Jesus is working, just watch what he do. He's snatching chains and he's taking the youth. I feel his presence right here in this room. He makes me lie down in green pastures, even with all the disasters. Oh, I'm laying in the sunshine, letting my body unwind. My head is filled with truth, praising God, that's the way I spend my youth. Jesus' way, that's the only way to move. If the clouds come, you know what to do. Let the sun shine through. Let the sun shine through.
Are you ready? Yeah, so in this time, let's start our morning assembly. So before we start our morning assembly, let's all rise up and let's start with praising the Lord.
Over the mountains and the sea, your river runs with love for me. And I will open up my heart and let the healer set me free. I'm happy to be in the truth, and I will daily lift my hands, for I will always sing of when your love came down. I can sing of your love forever. 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 Over the mountains and the sea, your river runs with love for me. And I will open up my heart and let the healer set me free. I'm happy to be in the truth, and I will daily lift my hands, for I will always sing of when your love came down. I can sing of your love forever. 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 Oh, I feel like dancing. It's foolishness, I know. When the world is singing loud, then we dance with joy like we're dancing now.
Yes, thank you. And in this time, like we'll proclaim our five principles. So yes, it is in the presenter. Salute. I am five principles. One. We hold to the five laws of Reformation as our doctrinal standard, according to the Reformed faith. Sola Scriptura, sola gratia, sola Christus, sola fide, sola Deo gloria. 2. Personate a missionary to complete their mission for the goal of mission completion in order to prepare for the coming of the Lord in the last day. 3. Our spirit super school, gospel, democratic perspective, kingdom God perspective, covenant perspective, people, Catholic thought, Catholic behavior, Catholic life, calling, vision, evangelism, mission, church, and 4. Mission is keeping the truth and keeping the truth, training whole personal, whole life, jurisdiction, missionary, evangelizing the nation. 5. To life for big spiritually, big personally, big capability, share the gospel, position, and now you may be seated. Yes, and today we have an announcement, so please open your planner, and though it is not related to you, just please listen it carefully. Our first announcement would be for chemistry class with teacher Daniel. It will be, you guys will have a like class from 2 story to 3 story, right? Yes, so please notice about it and please know about your new schedule. And for except this announcement, is there any announcement?
Yeah. So first of all, Adrian. Oh, he's pooping. Okay. So today mission, LA mission prayer leader is Adrian. Yeah, he's gone. And yeah, okay. So good morning, everyone. There will be some few announcements that we need to do again. So first of all, we need to keep English policy really well again. So from today, please. Yeah, I know like we sometimes mix Korean and English again. It's certain words like 염증, but in English is inflammation. So it's kind of difficult. Like you never heard about the words, but then you can search in the Google or Naver dictionary. So please do not mix Korean and English or Chinese. Secondly, so Teacher John will make new SDL leader and management chart by tomorrow. So by up to that, we will manage SDL again. So for example, in the afternoon, we will gather all together and start SDL together. And at 9, 8:30, we will gather all together and we will start SDL all together again. You guys might ask like, why you guys do suddenly these things again? Because we are going to mission after a week. But at the same time, it's the end of the June, and we will start July after a day. That means we need to build up, we need to start the things again that we stopped doing it because it's very essential. So please remind that, please write down. So tomorrow, new SL leadership will be uploaded, and afternoon and night we will gather first, and you guys can write down and report to the leaders and move to the other places. Please do not move around as you wanted to. And no moving school students and no not a lot of reunions, but even your intergens, please do it well because 5 moving school students are coming in also after 3 days from Seoul National Education University, and one more will come again, right? So please, we need a rule, and we need to do that not only just to keep this community, but also to focus on the various work that we need to do. So please keep this well. That's all I need to say. So the next one who will give announcement, please come to the stage.
Actually, this is an announcement, but among men, those who did touch the air conditioner controller yesterday, among men, yeah, every man, please come. Those who touched yesterday air control, air AC controller in second floor.
Yeah, so as we heard today, build-up project will led by LV team. So please do it and do it. And lastly, I have one more announcement, and it's kind of personal announcement. But it's all about duty chart. So I know that there are some people who complain about duty chart, and whenever they do duty, they complain, and complain. But let's imagine it. Like for our main room, Adrian is our room's leader, and if he assign us to do something, do we usually complain or we usually like obey? So that's why for this one also it's part of training. So let us remember it. And whenever we do, please I hope that do not complain, and if you have something to say to me, please come to me, then I'm willing to change it. So I hope that no one will complain about this jury chart. And if you have complaint, please come to me. And whenever you do your duty, please do not complain in that position, but please come to me and say something to me. This is about our last announcement. And in this time, I want to invite Teacher John to the stage. And today he will share about some situation that usually happen in America. So in this time, I want to invite him to the stage. And when we invite him, let's give him a big clap.
Morning. As I prepared last night, I thought of many problems in America, and I think one notable problem is here, as you can see in the title, guns. And unfortunately, it is true, as Andrew said, it has become a usual problem in this country nowadays. So let's continue. So the two problems with gun violence these days is obviously one, violence, because with guns, America has become plagued and become notorious with numerous gun incidents, whether it be shootings or some murder incidents, as such incidents like that. And lastly, outrage. For example, there have been numerous protests and anger from people in different towns and areas because of these constant incidents with no response. The same situation and the constant frustration of being or having to face that same tragedy not only causes violence in physical world, but also mental violence in distress and lack of response that leads to frustration and mental anger. Next slide, please. I listed a few incidents from this past year up to now. So in 2018, there was a high school shooting in Parkland, Florida. A gunman opens fire on 17 students, or 17 victims lost their lives that day. There was another shooting in Texas, El Paso, around now 6 years ago. A gunman went to a local Walmart and opened fire on 23 people that lost their lives that day. And this was actually from a few weeks ago or so, maybe a few days, but there was another shooting at a church in Michigan. However, the gunman was actually killed by security guards and local authorities around the church. So instead of numerous people losing their lives or being injured, that gunman alone lost his life. And there was another shooting that I didn't mention here, but in 2022, there was a huge shooting in a market in Buffalo, New York, against black people, a hate crime. So the suspect has been arrested that day, and there's been ongoing cases with his sentencing, whether he should get a life sentence or death penalty. So I provided one video to show on the next slide, so can we move on? The video before? Yeah, this video. So, as you can see, for a brief moment, the suspect in the orange jumpsuit, that is Peyton Gendron, the culprit of the incident. And this was a clip during his trial.
You gonna come to our city and decide you don't like black people. Man, you don't know a damn thing about black people. We're human. We like to go to good schools. We love our kids. We never go in no neighborhoods and take people out. Don't do it.
And this was during his court trial. So what Gendron was accused of and convicted on was a hate crime against black people. He shot around 10 victims, and around that amount, they lost their lives. So Gendron is still currently under the process of trial, whether it be a life sentence or potential death penalty. And this was the moment during the trial, the amount of heartbroken families and even that one individual that tried to attack him just goes to show how much violence happens in this country because of one little thing. So there was another event I mentioned about attempted or an attempted Michigan church shooting. So can we go to the next video?
An amazing story out of Detroit. Police say 2 security guards at a church there stopped a mass shooting on Sunday morning. One person was injured and the gunman was killed. Police are saying the suspect's mother was a member of this church. Nikki Batiste now has a story of a peaceful Sunday service interrupted by the sound of gunshots.
Chaos inside the Crosspoint Community Church in Wayne, Michigan, just after gunshots rang outside.
Please, everybody come to the back.
About 150 parishioners, including many children, were seen on this live stream of the service, running to safety after police say 31-year-old Brian Anthony Browning started shooting as he approached the building.
Crosspoint Community Church, they have an active shooter situation in the parking lot. Male is continuously shooting.
Police say the suspected gunman was wearing a tactical vest and was armed with a rifle and a handgun when he got out of his car. That's when a parishioner hit the alleged shooter with their truck. 2 church staff members then shot and killed Browning, who managed to shoot one of them in the leg.
We are grateful for the heroic actions of the church's staff members, who undoubtedly saved many lives.
Dustin Fiocco lives on the church property. He says he couldn't find his wife and newborn baby after the first shots were fired.
So can we go to the slide just before that for a moment? The slide before the video. So as I researched these events and incidents, I realized 2 things, or we should remind ourselves of 2 things. This earth is doused in evil. Ever since Adam and Eve's first sin, and from on their sin, Cain's murder, and so on with every single generation, this world has been nothing but evil for us ever since that first sin. And what I want to emphasize more is that we, as humans, have a choice to either use God's love or abuse it. And another point is that just these incidents alone made me realize how lost this country is. So, I'm not sure, was it? So, this country labels itself as God bless America, but looking at these events and the current situation now, and also with the current rate of Christianity, I've now realized just how lost this country is. For example, as Jesus mentioned in his story about the lost sheep, this country is essentially like that, but the sad news is there might not be a shepherd out there to find that lost sheep. And what I want to connect is that there have been so many incidents and injustice going on in this country through these kind of events, and it just gives us a reality of how much evil humans are and how much evil exists in this world, not just in America alone, but the entire world itself. So 2 slides, next please. Of course, we cannot be literal world changers and fix this whole situation, and we cannot just be a genie that can grant someone a wish and fix everything, but we can do these things. First thing is prayer, a simple yet effective and powerful way to answer up to God during these difficult times. Encouragement and grace. So, of course, instead of just focusing on the problems and the current events, but rather look toward good and hope and good side of humanity. Of course, another one, what we have, reading the Bible. Prayer and reading the Bible are two simple things, yet effective. So let's also encourage ourselves to dive into that. And lastly, sharing prayer requests, not just within ourselves or own circles, but praying for other people, other nations, other different places. That's the importance of our prayer, because it doesn't focus on ourselves or within our own circle, but we can pray for other different circles and reach out to God for them and bring them to hope. So next slide, please. So I came up with a Bible verse in Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12. Let's read all together in 1, 2, 3. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of the dark world, and the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Sometimes we are, as we are taught and mentioned, our life is essentially a war, not in the sense of having to gear up and fight for combat, rather a spiritual war and mental war, where we fight against good and evil, right and wrong, choosing to obey God or disobey His word. And the same thing applied with our life here in this community. Just because we're in a Christian environment or in a place of God does not guarantee that we will be safe all the time, because Satan will prepare his attack. When God prepares, Satan prepares. So as people of Christ and people who have that strength through Him, we need to be wary and alert in our life, whether it be in the future, because such things can happen, as I mentioned before. Like only God knows whether something happens to this place, or only God knows what happens to us in the future, because that's the sad reality of life. We don't know what will happen, or we cannot guarantee what will happen in the future if we end up in such a fate like them. But nonetheless, let us all encourage ourselves to continue in God's work until the very end. And even then, if we have joy, let us remind ourselves that if our lives get cut short, or if it's His will to live long, let's make that our focus, to go out in God's will and follow in His plan to the very end. Next slide, please. And what I want to emphasize with this news is to overcome, not be overwhelmed. So a few points to list is that God puts us in this world, but a few things we have to remind ourselves as we continue to pierce into the world. Staying firm in faith and being prayerful, meaning stay consistent with how you practice and how you reach out to others, because you can't just have one day on and off, but rather you continue and stay consistent as your title of being a Christian. Maintaining the hope and salvation for yourself and others. Salvation, we have that, but sometimes there are times where we have to always remind ourselves of our salvation. So do that. And lastly, praying for others too, whether it be as we do right now in our LA Mission prayer meeting, or sometimes when we have prayer requests with other people around here. Let's try to encourage to do the same, because after all, we're one family of Christ, and together as a family of Christ, we should move together. So lastly, what I want to conclude is that this image right here, so a leader and their students, pupils. What I want to make a point is that we will be in such a position where we have to lead, or even right now, some of us are in that exact position. And to piggyback off from these incidents and events, of course, we may not have been in such a scenario as in those people, but just imagine how heartbreaking and hurting those people are given those events to their life. However, we want to be the ones to help them out, reach them out, and of course, we cannot be physically there or change everything with all our strength and effort, but we can do this. Pray, reach out to them in prayer, as in requests, or even remind yourself to write down your requests in your meditation notes, reading the Bible, or even spending time to help others, mentoring and counseling. So there have been many incidents throughout this year and through almost the entire 2000s and 2020s that America has faced these kind of incidents. But nonetheless, let us remind ourselves of our mission once again. Overcome the world. Let's not be overwhelmed by these incidents. And through these moments, let's remind ourselves that Satan will do everything in his way to discourage us and put us down from God. But in our victory and in our salvation and strength, let us overcome the world through Christ, and in constant love, remind ourselves that only through him we can get through today, this world, and our lives. Thank you.
Yeah, when we heard about like gun accident or gun abusing, like we can feel that this like tragedy only happened in America. But when I searched like briefly while teacher John shared about his message, not only in America but in even in this Asia, like Japan or Israel, India, Thailand, Taiwan, China, Iran, even in Korea, there were about like gun accident. And for us, now you don't need to show it right now. So like there are some kind of like gun accident and gun abusing. And as we heard from teacher like John, he showed like some three significant event that happened in America. But when I searched it, I realized that in one day around 27 people died because of gun abusing. It means in this community less than 20 like 7 people live. So it means one day this every people could die because of gun accident, and including suiciding with gun. In America, more than 40,000 people they will die, and only for like killed by other people, more than 10,000 people they die. So we should know that, and especially in our morning assembly time, especially on Monday, we share about social issues, and sometimes we might feel like these social issues are not related to our life and to us, but through this time, I hope that when teachers comes out to this stage and when they share about some issues, I hope that we will pray for these issues, and we can see the work of God even in this community and outside of this community as well. So in this time, let's all rise up, let's shout our slogan, and let's go to our own position. Are you ready? Are you ready? 50, 5,000. I am, I am, I am, I am. Everything is possible in God. 아자, 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 화이팅. Let's go.